Hi, my name is Caitlin Harrington, and I'm going to be doing a fantasy book talk with y'all. Anything is possible in fantasy novels. You can have any supernatural power you want, like escaping to another world by teleporting or using magic. You could read minds, or you could just be a superhuman. These books are so great because they allow you to wind down and to forget the world and to just relax. And aside from all the supernatural events and characters in these novels, they can also be very relatable to young adults such as you guys. I'm going to discuss 5 different books that fall under the modern fantasy genre. We will talk about what the book is about and also about their authors. The first book I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorite books that I've been obsessed with ever since it came out. It is about a girl who meets and falls in love with a vampire. Can you guess what it is? It's Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. It is about a young girl in high school who moves in with her father in Forks. As she tries to settle into her new school, she comes upon this guy who is very, very attractive and very intense. And as she gets to know him, she comes to the realization that Edward is not completely human. I'm going to read an excerpt from this book that I think defines the entire book in just a couple of sentences, and it is found on page 195. It reads, about 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how potent that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Twilight by Stephenie Meyer is one of my favorite books, my favorite love story of all time. Okay, now what simply begins as a game of hide and seek quickly turns into an adventure of a lifetime. Can you guess what the second book we'll be talking about is? That's right, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. This story is about 4 kids named Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, who walk through a wardrobe and enter into the land of Narnia. They are astonished and cannot believe where they are. But they soon find out that an eternal winter is in the land, and it is all because of an evil white witch. Now, the only hope for Narnia is for the great lion, Aslan, to return and conquer the white witch's evil powers. Now, I'm going to read an excerpt from this book found on page 79. Wrong will be wrong when Aslan comes in sight. At the sound of his roar, sorrows will be no more. When he bares his teeth, winter meets its death, and when he shakes his mane, we shall have spring again. Now this quote is about when Aslan comes back, how Narnia will flourish again and how it will be better and it will be back to normal and it will be better than ever. And that was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Okay, so what if one day you come home and your home was unexpectedly destroyed, and from that day on you live in fear and are forced to live a new life under someone else's harsh ruling? The next book we're going to talk about is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. In this book, the characters are forced to live in a dystopia. In this horrible place, there is the capital of Panem, which also holds 12 districts. The capital selects a boy and a girl from each district and has them compete in what is called the Hunger Games. In this event, the tributes, which are the boy and the girl that represent the district, all the districts fight to the death until only one remains to be the victor of the 74th Hunger Games. I will read an excerpt from this book that explains how Katniss, which is also the main character, feels throughout her journey and like how her attitude is kind of throughout the whole thing. And it is on page 6. Okay. When I was younger, I scared my mother to death. The things I blurted out about District 12, about the people who ruled our country, Panem, from the far-off city called the capital. Eventually, I understood this would only lead us to more trouble. So I learned to hold my tongue and to turn my features into an indifferent mask that no one could ever read my thoughts. That definitely explains Katniss. She holds everything in. And this, The Hunger Games, is definitely one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's so good. Now, just imagine that one day you wake up in a glade that is at the center of a giant maze, and you have no memory at all of how you got there or of anything, or like nothing of your life before until that moment, at that very moment. It would feel so scary and helpless. And that is exactly how I would think the characters of this book felt throughout this whole journey. Does anyone know what the name of this book is? The Maze Runner by James Dashner. This is the story of a teenage boy named Thomas who wakes up in a metal box with the only memory being his name. There are several boys just like him that basically just got dumped in this huge glade that is surrounded by tall walls with a huge maze inside. Well, Thomas quickly becomes part of the group of boys and becomes quick friends with them, and they all get together to try and solve a way out of this maze without getting hurt or killed. And in this maze there are monsters and it is very dangerous. So the only way to leave is to go through the maze. And I'm going to read an excerpt from this book on page 39. And it's like the boys are discussing the maze and how dangerous it is and everything. And it's on page 39. Out there's the maze, Newt whispered, eyes wide as if in a trance. Everything we do, our whole life, Granny, revolves around the maze. Every 11 second of every 11 day we spend in honor of the maze, trying to solve something that's not shown us it has a bloody solution, you know? And we want to show you why it's not to be messed with. Show you why them buggin' walls close shut every night. Show you why you should never, never find your butt out there. And that was The Maze Runner by James Dashner. The last book I will be discussing with y'all will bring you to a whole other world where magic and wizards are an everyday thing. Can you guess what this book is? It is Harry Potter. It is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. It is the second of the series. And in this book, Harry Potter is attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry for the second year with his friends Ron and Hermione. And Harry, Ron, and Hermione all get together to try and discover a dark force that is terrorizing them and the school. And here's an excerpt from the book on page 178. Harry Potter survived, and the Dark Lord's power was broken, and it was a new dawn, sir, and Harry Potter shone like a beacon of hope for those of us who thought the dark days would never end, sir. And now, at Hogwarts, terrible things are to happen, are perhaps happening already, and Dobby cannot let Harry Potter stay here now that history is to repeat itself, now that the Chamber of Secrets is open once more. And that is Dobby speaking. And I grew up reading and loving all of the Harry Potter books. They are my favorite. So this has been such a great book talk. I hope all of you enjoyed it. We went over 5 of my favorite young adult fantasy novels. The first one being Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. And then the second one being The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Third one being The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And the fourth one being The Maze Runner by James Dashner. And the very last one being Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Thank you for listening to my book talk, and I hope this encourages you, all of you, to go out and read these books and to share them with other people and all your friends and family. Thank you so much.